The myth of kitchen table issues. Digital activism in a polarized era. In the realm of digital activism, the prevailing wisdom has often focused on kitchen table issues, practical, everyday concerns like healthcare costs, job security, and tax relief. Democratic leadership frequently touts these as the issues that matter most to voters. However, a deeper analysis reveals that emotional appeal, rather than purely rational policy discussions, is what truly mobilizes voters. Digital activists should prioritize emotionally charged issues to drive engagement and turnout, drawing on lessons from Republican strategies and recent Democratic successes. The emotional core of political mobilization. Despite offering minimal substantive policies, Republicans have effectively mobilized their base through emotionally charged messaging. They tap into fear, anger, and identity to rally support, a strategy that consistently drives voter turnout. Issues like immigration, gender identity, and gun rights are framed in ways that evoke strong emotional responses, overshadowing the lack of concrete policies. For digital activists, this underscores the importance of crafting messages that resonate on an emotional level. The 2022 election cycle demonstrated the power of negative partisanship, highlighting the dangers posed by the opposing party. Democrats, for instance, successfully leveraged the Supreme Court's decision on Roe versus Wade to mobilize voters by framing it as a direct threat to personal freedoms. Framing democratic principles as emotional catalysts to galvanize supporters and swing voters alike, digital activists should frame key democratic principles within emotionally compelling narratives. 1. Democracy. Emphasize the fragility and importance of democratic institutions. Illustrate the personal and national consequences of losing democratic freedoms, making it clear that voting is essential to protect these values. 2. Reproductive rights. Highlight stories and data that showcase the impact of restricted reproductive rights. Use narratives that evoke empathy and urgency, illustrating the real-world consequences of losing these freedoms to women and little girls. 3. Gun violence prevention. Share powerful personal stories of those affected by gun violence. Use these narratives to underscore the human cost and the need for stricter gun laws, framing it as a community and personal safety issue. 4. Climate crisis. Make the impacts of climate change tangible through vivid descriptions and real-life examples. Highlight the urgency and potential solutions, motivating action through fear of worsening conditions and hope for a sustainable future. 5. Social security. Frame Social Security protections as a safeguard for personal dignity and security in old age. Use fear of losing these protections to drive urgency and participation. Leveraging fear and desire. Fear is a potent motivator that can be used ethically to drive voter turnout. For example, digital activists can create content that highlights the dire consequences of losing Social Security benefits or the dangers of unchecked climate change. These narratives should be backed by factual data and personal stories to make the threat real and urgent. Desire, on the other hand, can be harnessed by presenting a compelling vision of what a democratic-led future could look like. This includes universal healthcare, environmental sustainability, and social justice. By framing these outcomes in a way that evokes hope and a desire for a better future, activists can inspire action and commitment. Crafting effective digital messages. To persuade and mobilize effectively, digital activists should consider the following strategies. 1. Storytelling. Use personal anecdotes and relatable stories to make abstract issues concrete. For instance, sharing a story about someone directly affected by gun violence or reproductive rights restrictions can make these issues more tangible. 2. Visual imagery. Use images and videos that evoke strong emotional responses. Visual content can make the stakes more immediate and compelling. 3. Clear, relatable language. Avoid jargon and use language that resonates with everyday experiences. The goal is to make complex issues understandable and relevant to the average person. 4. Consistency and repetition. Ensure that messages are consistent across all platforms and repeated often to reinforce key points and narratives. The myth of kitchen table issues overlooks the more powerful force in political persuasion: emotion. Digital activists must harness this force by framing emotionally charged principles and crafting compelling narratives around them. This approach not only aligns with ethical standards, but also leverages the full spectrum of human motivation to advocate for justice, freedom, and sustainability. By doing so, digital activists can drive greater engagement, turnout, and ultimately, political success.